Hello, my name's Bog. Welcome to my show at Vivid Sydney 2016. Vivid's the largest light festival in the world, they tell me. It's a great honour to be here, and we're doing a show about the history of light shows in Australia from the 1960s to now. Come on in. This is the first exhibit here, and this actually starts in the 50s rather than the 60s. This is a recreation of the Dream Machine that we made here. That was like the first stroboscope I ever heard about. It was made by Brian Geisen and Ian Somerville, friends of William Burroughs. This window here, you'll see the light shining through the window as it did when I was a 12-year-old boy sitting in the hot tub watching the lights in the night, in the wind, in the trees, flickering on this patterned glass, making really interesting patterns. We also have here the lobster that turned on the Museum of Contemporary Art. We come to this wall here, which illustrates my relationship with Albie Toms. He was at Sydney University, I was at New South Wales. I was still experimenting with light, wishing to make light sculptures, putting them in shows, in university reviews. Albie was doing light shows as part of his experimental theatre work at Sydney University. And then we often worked together as well. This is a setup of what a 60s light show bench would look like, with overhead projectors and liquids, with beautiful little special effects slide projectors, which we modified to project special effects, and we painted them to look beautiful. I liked the equipment that we used in the light shows to actually be sculptures themselves. At the back is the screen painted by Peter Wright for the Yellow House, the rainbow screen. And projected on the screen is a wet show that we made in 1969. You'll see the colour wheels. I like the colour wheels to look like sculpture pieces as well, and not just be something that's used to change the colour on a lamp. Come to the music section. It's a photograph of Tiny Tim up there in the Luna Park show that he did for Martin Sharp. You might hear Barry Kosky singing in the background. He helped me do shows when he was still a schoolboy. He's now one of the world's great opera directors, of course, and he wrote a song for me. And here, of course, is a poster that Vivian Binns did for me, which is very lovely. It would have been about 1970 at what we called the Un-Elizabethan Theatre, where we had Peter Sculthorpe, Jeannie Lewis, Tully, lots of really interesting and the top musicians and composers of their day, all in one show for $2. Peter and John Hopkins from the ABC asked me to do some light shows with the Sydney and Melbourne Symphony Orchestras for the prom concerts. Here's the show that I did with Vivian Binns. This was in 1971. Then over here is the Yellow House. When they saw the show I did at Womb for Vivian Binns, they invited me to build my own environment. I was very lucky to meet some really lovely people in India, and they invited me to do a light show for a children's orphanage. These are all projections that we were doing on buildings. Sort of had a guerrilla projection system going. Launch for the Museum of Contemporary Art. Favourite work of mine, and I've been doing it for many years, the Christmas Tree of Light, which was in Darling Harbour. I love that because of the joy it brings to children, and I like working with Maggie Tabra and Mahmoodi Sani and some lovely people in the fashionette world. They like the fact that I made the fashions come out of the misty fog and then disappear again. Down here, to, as I mentioned before, the influence of Martin Sharp on my work. After he left the Yellow House, I found a broken version of a beautiful painting that he'd done for the cover of the book The Politics of Ecstasy by Timothy Leary. Projecting on it the wet show we did in 1969, and also a colour-changing light, because I loved animating Martin's painting. To me, the painting itself was animated, and then when I put the light shows on it, it expanded it even further. This is my homage or recreation of coloured circles by Sonia Delaunay. Mandalas are a great symbol from India, and I've met many Indian artists, and always their mandalas are always slightly asymmetrical. So this one is a bit asymmetrical, and I call it a psychedelic mandala. These are more subtle mandalas here. These hexagonal mandalas. These are circle mandalas in the square. We've been building mandalas since 1966. This is just the 2016 version.